Why did we let this first truth die? The maps are there for us to use, the rhizome that we fear to choose. They warned us of the rigid mold that breaks the map, the vital fold. Yet we prefer the root the same and bind ourselves in fear and shame. They warned against the law of kin, affiliation we are trapped within. We are not built like rooted trees, but are defined by hierarchies. Blind habits block the active will and force the nomad to stand still. We lack connections far and wide, and lines of flight that lead outside. Wasp and orchid both embrace the folding of a different space, but when our lines begin to grow, we still repeat the ancient no. But fail to break with common sense. For now the tree of power stands and grips the world with rigid hands. So this remains a scholar's thought, a battle promised but unfought. We need to change and to transgress. But fear the middle's raw excess. We yearn to change and to transgress, and seek the strength to whisper yes.
A tyrant mask, a rigid wall that casts a shadow on us all. The abstract machine grinds and waits, seals the locks upon our gates. The white wall spreads the guiding signs, the black hole traps the fleeing lines. It nails our soul to what we are, a fixed and signifying star. Icons of the past, the face of Christ designed to last. The social code we have to learn, the boss, the father, cold and stern. They trap existence in a gaze, reduce our lives to sinful ways. This serves the sign, applies the seal to make the ruling order real. But hope arrives in whispered art, a chance to tear the mask apart, to see the face is just a field of lines and colors unconcealed. A swarm of traits we shall become, unsinking from the marching drum. A defactualizing act of grace to find the world beyond the secret voices low, where traits begin to merge and flow. A clandestine and vital speed, a non-human and precious seed. This dangerous inhuman quest to put the face at last to rest. A signifiant, wild and new, a life the face could not subdue. And hope arising whispered art, a chance to tear the mask apart, to see the face is just a field of lines and colors unconcealed. A swarm of traits we shall become, unsinking from the marching drum. A defactualizing act of grace to find the world beyond the face.
I am the form, the architect. I find the chaos, some neglect. I find the smooth, the empty field, and build the wall that is your shield. I find the flow, the water's force, and steer it to a steady course. I am the capture, I am the code. I tame the wild, I pave the road. Yeah. Oh, I am, yeah. Oh, I am, yeah. Oh, I am, yeah. Oh, I am, oh. The savage currents, wild and raw, I give them meaning, give them love. First rent a home on this cold earth, to live and love and to give birth and profit. I guide your skill to build a city, drive the mill, third tax, the universal due to build the us from lonely youth. Some praise the war machine in song, the frantic speed for which they long. That is a childish nomad rage that burns the harvest, wrecks the stage. So I will capture this machine and make its senseless vectors clean. I'll take the nomad fast and free and build a proud military. I'll give its anger a noble cause to guard our homes, protect our laws. The axiom, a perfect tool for an adaptive global rule. I manage flows you can't contain. I filter risk, I channel pain. So why this flight? Why this descent? This wasted energy you've spent, this smooth escape you hold so dear. Just check the mirror, we are here. Then put rebellion to the test, to fight the state of futile quest. This freedom that you think you found is just more captured, rented ground. So dream of your beloved smooth. But without my form, you have no truth.
We thought our words were meant to mean a truth, a thought, a feeling seen. But language is the king's decree, the order word we cannot flee. It does not show, it makes us yield, commanding power we can't wield. It speaks the verdict, lets us know you are condemned or free to go. Transformation swift and strange, bodies are forced to rearrange. It cuts the soul, a phantom knife. You are no longer child but wife. This is the grammar, it's the sign, the major language by design. It tells us strictly what to be.
यहीं पे छोड़ा था, तो यहीं से कंटिन्यू करते हैं। पिछली बार की रीडिंग ठीक नहीं गई थी, लेकिन इस बार हम रीडिंग को ठीक करने की कोशिश करेंगे। हम्म, डू 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 डू। 13 मिनट हो गए चालू ही हुआ। चलो, वैसे देखता भी कौन है, मेरी मर्जी है। मुझे मन करता है इसलिए करता हूँ, कि किसी के लिए करता हूँ क्या। टू Article 239A, the provision in case of failure of constitutional measure. If the President on receipt of report from Lieutenant Governor or otherwise is satisfied, A, that situation has arisen in which administration of capital territory cannot be carried on in accordance with provisions of Article 239A or of any law made in pursuance of that article, or that for the proper administration of the national capital territory it is necessary or expedient so to do, the President may by order suspend the operation of any provision of Article 239A or all of any of the provision of any law made in pursuance of that article for such period and subject to conditions as may be specified in such law, and make such incidental and consequential provisions as may appear to him to be necessary or expedient or administrating the national capital territory in accordance with the provisions of Article 239, Article 239A, Article 239B. Power of administrator to promulgate ordinances during recess of legislature, if at any time except when the legislature of the Union Territory of Pondicherry is in session, the administrature thereof is satisfied that circumstances exist which render it necessary for him to take immediate action, he may promulgate such ordinances as the circumstances appear to him to require, provided that no such ordinances shall be promulgated by the administrator except after obtaining instruction from President in that behalf. Provided further that whenever the said legislature is dissolved or its functioning remains suspended on account of any action taken under any such law is as is referred to in clause 1 of Article 239A, the administrator shall not promulgate any ordinance during the period of such dissolution or suspension. 2. An ordinance promulgated under this article in pursuance of instruction from the President shall be deemed to be act of the legislature of the Union Territory, which has been duly enacted after complying with the provision in that we have contained in any such law as referred to in clause 1 of Article 239A. But every such ordinance A shall be laid before the E. Mm-mm-mm. Shall be laid before the legislature of the Union Territory and shall cease to operate at the expiration of 6 weeks from the reassembly of the legislature of it. Before the expiration of that period, a resolution disapproving it is passed by the legislature upon the passing of the legislation and may be withdrawn at any time by the administrator after obtaining instruction from the president in that behalf. 3. Pence so far as ordinance under this article makes any provision which would not be valid if enacted in act of the legislature of the Union Territory made after complying with the provision in that we are contained in any such law as is referred to in clause 1 of Article 239A shall be void. Power of President. Article 240. Power of President to make regulation for certain Union territory. The President may take regulations for peace, progress, and good government of the Union Territory of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu, Pondicherry. ये निकाला गया है शायद यहाँ से, इसलिए स्टार होते हैं, लेकिन मुझे भी एक्यूरेटली पता नहीं भाई किस कारण से क्यों निकाला गया. क्यों निकाला अबे भाई, नोजल बंद करके ये कर रहा हूँ, आवाज चली गई कह रहा हूँ। क्या चूतिया हूँ यार मैं। Provided that when body is created under Article 239A to function as legislature for the Union Territory of Pondicherry, the President shall not make any regulation for the peace, progress, and good government of that Union Territory, with effect from date appointed for the first meeting of the legislature. Provided further that whenever the body functioning as a legislature for the Union Territory of Pondicherry is dissolved, or the functioning of that body as such legislature remains suspended on account of any action taken under any such law as is referred in clause 1 of article 239A, the president may during the period of such dissolution or suspension make regulation for the peace, progress, and good government of that union territory. To any regulation so made may repeal or amend any act made by Parliament or any other law which is for the time being applicable to the Union territory when promulgated by the President shall have the same force and effect as an act of Parliament which applies to the territory. That territory. I'm checking the sound setting, man. So let's see what happens. I don't know, man. I have to check this afterwards. Article 243 definition in this part unless the context otherwise requires. A district means a district in a state. A. B. Gram Sabha means a body consisting of persons registering in the electoral laws relating to a village compromise within the area of panchayat at the village level. Intermediate level means a level between the village and the district levels, specified by the governor of state by public notification to be intermediate level for the purpose of this part. D. Panchayat means an institution by whatever name called of self-government constituted under Article 243B for the rural areas. E. Panchayat area means the territorial area of Panchayat. A. Population means the population as ascertained at the last preceding census of which the relevant figures have been published. G. Village means a village specified by the governor by public notification to be village for the purposes of this part and includes a group of villages so specified. How many total villages there are in India, man? Like, let's fucking check. How many villages and districts in India? India has approximately 802 districts and between 6,40,000 and 6,64,000 villages. As of 2026, India comprises 802 districts across 28 states and 8 union territories. Uttar Pradesh has the highest number with 75 districts, while Goa has the fewest with 2. गोवा का तो अच्छा होगा भाई, 2 ही डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, पॉपुलेशन भी उनकी कुछ आई थिंक 1-2 मिलियन ही है वो. गोवा पॉपुलेशन इज नॉट दैट मच मैन. Villages the बहुत विलेजेस है भाई हमारे भारत में, तो विलेजों का देश है. 6,40,000. वाह भाई, कुछ ज़्यादा ही नहीं हो गए विलेजेस. कोई ना भाई, चैनल के टैक्स देख रहा था, सॉरी. मैं अपने आप से ही बात करता हूँ. आर्टिकल 243A, Gram Sabha. A Gram Sabha may exercise such powers and perform such function at the village level as the legislature of state may by law provide. Article 243B, Constitution of Panchayat. There shall be constituted in every state panchayats at the village level, intermediate and district level in accordance with the provision of this part. Not subclause 2, notwithstanding anything in the clause 1, panchayats at the intermediate level may not be constituted in state having a population not exceeding 20 lakhs. तो फिर शायद गोवा में पंचायत ही नहीं है एट इंटरमीडिएट लेवल. सॉरी मैम, पंचायत है लेकिन इंटरमीडिएट पंचायत नहीं है. पता नहीं इसका अर्थ क्या होता है, लेकिन मैक्सिमम स्टेट तो 20 लाख से ज़्यादा ही पॉपुलेशन रखता है भाई. Article 243, Composition of Panchayat. Subject to the provisions of this part, the legislature of state may by law make provisions with respect to the composition of panchayats, provided that the ratio of the population of territorial area of panchayat and any level of and the number of seats in panchayat to be filled by election shall, so far as practicable, be the same throughout the state. All the seats in panchayat shall be filled by person chosen by direct election from territorial constituencies in panchayat area, and for this purpose each panchayat area shall be divided into territorial constituencies in such manner that ratio between the population of each constituency and the number of seats allotted to it shall, so far as practicable, be the same throughout the panchayat area. ओके ओके ओके, रुको रुको, ये थोड़ा ठीक से. नहीं है. The legislature of state may by law provide for the representation of the chairperson of panchayats at the village level in the panchayats. At the intermediate level, or in the case of state not having panchayat at the intermediate level, in the panchayats at the district level. B. Of the chairperson of the panchayat at the intermediate level, in the panchayats at district level. C. Of the members of the House of the People and the members of Legislative Assembly of the state representing constituencies which comprise wholly or partly a panchayat area at level other than the village level is such panchayat. D. Of the members of the Council of State and the members of Legislative Council of the State, where there are registered as electors within subclause 1, a panchayat area at the intermediate level in panchayat at the intermediate level. Subclause 2, a panchayat area at the district level in panchayat at the district level. Okay, like that is pretty much makes it the same thing, man. थोड़ा आवाज कमी कर देता हूँ. चलो ठीक है भाई. अभी clause 5, the chairperson of a panchayat at the village level shall be elected in such manner as the legislature of the state may by law provide, and B. A panchayat at the intermediate level or district level shall be elected by and from amongst the elected members thereof. ओ भाई कंट्रोवर्शियल टॉपिक आ गया भाई. रिजर्वेशन कंट्रोवर्शियल टॉपिक है भाई आजकल. नहीं पहले से ही है लेकिन आज भी है. आज ज़्यादा हो रहा है. Seats shall be reserved for Article 243D, reservation of seats. Seats shall be reserved for A. The scheduled caste and B. The scheduled tribes in every panchayat, and the number of seats so reserved shall be as nearly as may be the same proportion to the total number of seats to be filled by direct election in that panchayat as the population of the scheduled caste in that panchayat area or of the scheduled tribes in the panchayat area bears to the total population of that area, and such seats may be allotted by rotation to different constituencies in a panchayat. Clause 2. Not less than one third of the total number of seats reserved under Clause 1 shall be reserved for women belonging to scheduled caste or as the case may be the scheduled tribes. I am woman. Please let me be your woman. I don't give a fuck. Like why how this changes anything, man? I don't give a fuck. Not less than one third, including the number of seats reserved for the women belonging to the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, of the total number of seats to be filled by direct election in every panchayat shall be reserved for women, and such seats may be allotted by rotation to different constituencies in a panchayat. Clause for the offices of chairperson in panchayat at the village or any other level shall be reserved for the scheduled class, the scheduled tribes, and women in such manner as the legislature of state may by law provide. I am Oman. I am state. No, scheduled caste, and I am scheduled tribe. Let's go. Provided that the number of offices of chairperson reserved for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes in the panchayat at each level in any state shall be as nearly as may be the same proportion to the total number of such offices in the panchayat at level as the population of the scheduled caste in the state or scheduled tribes in the state bears to the total population of the state. Provided further that not less than 1/3 of the total number of offices of chairperson in panchayat at each level shall be reserved for women. Provided also that number of offices reserved under this clause shall be allotted by rotation to different panchayats at each level. 5. At clause 5, the reservation of seat under clauses 1, 2 and the reservation of office of chairperson other than the reservation for women under clause 4 shall to cease to have effect on the expiration of the period specified in article 334. ये वो टाइमिंग है क्या भाई जो हमेशा कहते हैं कि रिजर्वेशन बस 10 सालों के लिए था? उस आर्टिकल में वो रखा है क्या? चलो आके ढूंढ ही लेते हैं भाई। 334, अभी हम 121वें पेज पे हैं। आ जाओ 334 पे जाते हैं। हाँ यहीं पे कहीं पे होगा। The official language of the union shall be Hindi or Devanagari script to form numerals to be used or the international form of Indian numerals. Notwithstanding anything in clause 1, for a period of 15 years from the commencement of this constitution, the English language shall continue to be used for all official purposes of the union for which it was being used immediately before such commencement, provided that President may during the said period by order authorize the use of Hindi language in addition to the English language and of the Devanagari form numerals in addition to international form of Indian numerals for any of the official purposes of the union. Notwithstanding anything in this article, Parliament by law provide for the use after the said period of 15 years of the the English language or the Devanagari form of numerals for such purpose as may be specified by the law. यहाँ कुछ नहीं हुआ, इंग्लिश कहीं नहीं गई, इंग्लिश बिकम अ डोमिनेंट लैंग्वेज। 121 था ना? हाँ चलो। अभी तो 334 रीड करके आया हूँ, 43 रीड करके आ गया क्या? अरे भाई क्या चूतिया हूँ भाई मैं। मेरी कोई लिमिट ही नहीं है चूतिया पर। ओ भाई 334। भाई आ गया रिजर्वेशन ऑफ सीट्स and special representation to seize after certain period. Notwithstanding anything in the foregoing provision of this part, the provision of this constitution relating to subclause A, the reservation of seats for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes in the House of the People and in the Legislative Assembly of the state, and B, the representation of the Anglo-Indian community in the House of the People and in the Legislative Assembly of the state by nomination shall cease to have effect on the expiration of period of 80 years in respect 8 years 8 years तो बहुत हो गए भाई। 80 years in respect to clause 1 and 70 years in respect to clause B from the commencement of this constitution, provided that nothing in this article shall affect any representation in the House of People or in the legislative assembly of a state until the dissolution of then existing house or assembly, as the case may be. ओ भाई 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 भाई, मतलब इसको एक्सटेंड किया जा रहा है क्या, इसलिए इसे इस तरह से करा है कि शायद पहले कुछ 10 हजार था, अब 80 साल कर दिया और 70 ईयर्स कर दिया। इनका तो ख़त्म हो गया भाई, क्योंकि अब इंडिया का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बने हुए हैं लगभग 70 साल हो चुके हैं, हो गए भाई, कब का हो गए। एक को 1915 में इंडिया का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना था, तो कितने हो गए, 50 और 50 20 इधर ही हो गए भाई। और इंडिया का अभी 80 साल नहीं हुए, शायद फिर 80 साल के बाद शायद डिस्कशन हो सकता है कि रखना क्या है कि नहीं, लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता रिजर्वेशन कहीं जाने वाला है, तो चिंता करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है भाई। जिनको रिजर्वेशन बहुत प्यारा है और जिनके लिए प्यारा नहीं है भाई, तुम तो रोते ही रहो, अनलेस तुम्हारा जो रिजर्वेशन का जो क्रिटिक है वो अच्छा है, तो फिर सोचेंगे भाई, नहीं तो फिर रोते ही रहो कि मैं मेरिटधारी था और रिजर्वेशन वाला बंदा पागल था, तो भाई हाँ, ऐसा तो कहीं नहीं जाने वाला है। 121 पे वापस आ चुके हैं। मुझे तो मज़ा आ रहा है भाई पढ़ने में। Six, nothing in this part shall prevent the legislature of state from making any provision for reservation of seats in any panchayat or offices of chairperson in the panchayat at any level in favor of backward class of citizens. I mean, in India, everybody is a backward class, man. Even the so-called richest people are extremely backward motherfuckers, and they are extremely backward. Okay, obviously there is a clause that grants the ability to grant reservation for backward classes, which is now considered as backward castes. Okay. आर्टिकल 243 ड्यूरेशन ABCD हो रहा है क्या भाई, यहाँ पर एफ आ रहा है, जी आ रहा है, एच आ रहा है, आई आ रहा है, जे आ रहा है, की आ रहा है, एल, यम, एन, पी, क्यू, आर, एस, टी। हो भाई ABCD हो गई भाई आर्टिकल 243 पे। यू, वी, डब्ल्यू, एक्स, वाई, जेड, ए, अबे डबल ABCD हो रही है, BCD, ई। अरे 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 अरे, ये तो बहुत बड़ा है भाई, बहुत बड़ा है, रहने दो, बाद में देखते हैं, मैं क्या इसमें टाइम नहीं वेस्ट कर। आ जाओ इधर, इधर थे हम लोग, इधर थे शायद, नहीं नहीं इधर थे। उरुरुरु, हाँ, ड्यूरेशन ऑफ पंचायत, आर्टिकल 243 ड्यूरेशन ऑफ पंचायत एक्सेट्रा। One, every panchayat, unless sooner dissolved under any law for the time being in force, shall continue for 5 years from the date appointed for its first meeting and no longer. Clause 2, no amendment of any law for the time being in force shall have the effect of causing dissolution of panchayat at any level which is functioning immediately before such amendment till the expiration of its duration specified in clause 1. Okay. Clause 3, an election to constitute a panchayat shall be completed. Subclause A, before the expiry of duration specified in clause 1, before the expiration of period of 6 months from the date of its dissolution, provided that where the remainder of period for which the dissolved panchayat would have continued is less than 6 months, it shall not be necessary to hold any election under this clause for constituting the panchayat for such period. 4. Clause 4. A panchayat constituted upon the dissolution of panchayat before the expiration of its duration shall continue only for the remainder of the period for which the dissolved panchayat would have continued under clause 1 had it not been dissolved. ओके 5 ही साल के लिए कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं. Article 243 display qualification for membership. Clause 1. A person shall be disqualified for being chosen as for being a member of panchayat A if he is so disqualified by or under any law for the time being in force of the purposes of election to the legislature of state concerned, provided that no person shall be disqualified on the ground that he is less than 25 years of age if he is attained the age of 21 years. B. If he is so disqualified by or under any law made by the legislature of the state. मैं भी अभी 21 साल का नहीं हूँ भाई, इस महीने हो जाऊंगा, तो मैं तो इस लॉ के हिसाब से तो पंचायत का मेंबर भी नहीं बन सकता. If B. If he is so disqualified by or under any law made by the legislature of the state. Clause 2. If any question arises as to whether member of panchayat has become subject to any of the disqualifications mentioned in the clause 1, the question shall be referred to the for the decision of such authority in such manner as the legislature of the state may by law provide. I mean, this is important, you know. Like half of India still lives in villages and panchayats. So this is important in that manner. Article 243G. Powers, authority and responsibilities of panchayat. Subject to the provision of this constitution, the legislature of state may by law endow the panchayat with such powers and authorities as may be necessary to enable to them as institutions of self-government, and such law may contain provisions for the dissolution of powers and responsibilities upon panchayats. Devolution why, not dissolution. Of powers and responsibilities upon panchayats at the appropriate level, subject to such conditions as may specified therein with respect to A. The preparation of plans for economic development and social justice. B. The implementation of schemes for economic development and social justice as may be entrusted to them, including those in relation to the matters listed in the 11th schedule. तो स्टेट के अंदर ही आती है, लाइक स्टेट ग्रांट करेगा तो सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट हो भाई, अगर वो तुम्हारी वो उसको निकाल भी सकता है जो तुम्हें पावर दी गई है डेवोल्यूशन, और जो मेनली होगा वो होगा कि इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट और सोशल जस्टिस का काम पंचायत करेगी, और स्कीम्स का भी जो कि करते ही है. Article 243H. Powers to impose taxes by and funds of the panchayats. The legislature of the state may by law. Clause A. authorize a panchayat to levy, collect and appropriate such taxes, duties, tolls and fees in accordance with such procedure and subject to such limits. Okay. Be assigned to a panchayat such taxes, duties, tolls and fees levied and collected by the state government for such purposes and subject to such condition and limits. He provided for making such grants in aid to panchayats from the consolidated fund of the state, and D provide the constitution of such funds for crediting all monies received respectively by or on behalf of the panchayat, and also for the withdrawal of the such monies thereon, as may be specified in the law. Okay. Like I really don't have an opinion on it, man. भाड़ में जाए भाई पंचायत भाई गाँव की क्या हालत होती है भाई. पंचायत तो कोई एक डोमिनेंट कम्युनिटी होती है, उसी की ये होती है भाई गाँव में तो. और वो जाति के लोग ही सबसे ज़्यादा और होते वही चुन के आते हैं आगे ना आगे, बाकी सब जो जातियाँ होती है वो लंड चराने जाए. एटलीस्ट मैं जहाँ रहता हूँ तो वही होता है भाई. और एमएलए के उसमें भी वही होता है. एमपी के समय भी नहीं होता, उतना तो नहीं होता, लेकिन एक तरह से वही होता है भाई, जात के बेसिस पे चुन के जाते हैं, जो कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी है कि तुम एक पर्टिकुलर जात के हो तो तुमको चुना जाएगा. तो फिर दूसरे लोग उनके जातों वालों को छोड़ रहे तो चुन रहे, तो उसमें कौन सी है दिक्कत है, इतना क्या बुरा मानना. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ही जातिवादी है. और बिल्कुल कोई बात नहीं है ना, सारे कास्ट के एट्रोसिटी होते हैं, सब होता है भाई, कोई ये नहीं कर रहा लोअर कास्ट लोगों पे, और इसमें कोई ये नहीं डिनाई कर रहा. लेकिन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे तुम्हें कास्ट सिस्टम निकालनी है या रिजर्वेशन देना है कास्ट को, क्योंकि तुम एक चीज़ को रिजर्वेशन दोगे तो वो चीज़ कैसे ख़त्म होगी. तो मुझे तो कहीं से भी कास्ट सिस्टम ख़त्म होते हुए नहीं दिख रही, अनलेस एंड अनलेस स्टेट इसको छोड़ दे भाई. स्टेट इसको छोड़ दे. अबे Article 243I, Constitution of Finance Commission to review financial position. 1. Clause 1. The governor of a state shall, as soon as may be within 1 year from the commencement of this constitution, 73rd amendment. Okay, शायद ये नया नया नहीं है, लेकिन 1992 में ऐड किया हुआ अमेंडमेंट है. And thereafter, at the expiration of every 5th year, constitute a finance commission to review the financial position of panchayats and to make recommendation to governor as to subclause A, the principle which should govern. First, the distribution between the state and the panchayats of the net proceeds of the taxes, duties, tolls, and fees leviable by the state, which may be divided between them under this part, and the allocation between the panchayats at all levels of the respective shares of such proceeds. Subclause uh, subclause नहीं है शायद second one है. Second condition, the determination of taxes, duties, tolls, and fees which may be assigned to or appropriated by the panchayats. 3. The grants in aid to the panchayats from the consolidated fund of the state. B. The measures needed to improve the financial position of panchayats. C. Any other matter referred to the Finance Commission by the governor in the interest of sound finance of the panchayats. 2. The legislature of state by law provide for the composition of the commission, the qualification which shall be requisite for appointments as member thereof, and the manner in which they shall be selected. The commission shall determine their procedure and shall have such powers in the performance of their function as the legislature of the state may by law confer on them. 4. The governor shall cause every recommendation made by the commission under this article, together with an explanatory memorandum as to the action taken thereon, to be laid before the legislature of the state. Okay. Article 243J, audits of accounts of panchayat. The legislature of a state may by law make provisions with respect to the maintenance of accounts by the panchayats and the auditing of such accounts. Article 243K, election to the panchayat. The superintendence, direction, and control of the preparation of electoral rolls for and the conduct of all election to the panchayat shall be vested in a state election commission consisting of a state election commissioner to be appointed by the governor. Okay. तो गवर्नर ही इस इलेक्शन को ये कर सकता है पंचायत की स्टार्ट. Clause 2, subject to the provisions of any law made by the legislature of state, the conditions of service and tenure of office of the state election commissioner shall be as such the governor may by rule determine, provided that the state election commissioner shall not be removed from his office except in like manner and on the like grounds as a judge of high court, and the condition of service of the state election commissioner shall not be varied to his disadvantage after his appointment. लेकिन स्टेट इलेक्शन कमिश्नर तो भाई इससे ही अपॉइंट किया जा रहा है गवर्नर से, और गवर्नर को कौन करता है अपॉइंट? जो शायद इसमें रूलिंग पार्टी होती है, वो किसमें रे भाई? पूरे देश में जिसका लोकसभा में जो पार्टी जीत के आई होती है, वो शायद गवर्नर्स को हर एक स्टेट के अपॉइंट करती है. तो गवर्नर उनके नीचे होते हैं, और फिर ऑब्वियसली बात है वो इलेक्शन कमिश्नर भी वैसे ही चूज करेंगे. ये तो ठीक ही बात है भाई, इतना भी कुछ मुझे ये नहीं लगा कि बहुत ही रेवोल्यूशनरी ही है. Three, the governor of state shall, when so requested by the state election commission, make available to the state election commission such staff as may be necessary for the discharge of the functions confirmed on the State Election Commission by clause. Clause 1. 4. Subject to the provision of this constitution, the legislature of state may by law make provision with respect to all matters relating to or connection with election to the panchayats. Okay. I also read, the Constitution of United States. I think that constitution is better than our constitution. Yeah. Why? I think the First Amendment pretty much makes it clear. That's why I think the Constitution of America is better, for me at least. Article 243L, Application to Union Territories. The provisions of this part shall apply to the Union Territories and shall, in their application to Union Territory, have effect as if the reference to the governor of a state, where reference to the administrator of the Union Territory appointed under where references to the administrator of Union Territory appointed under Article 239 and references to the legislature of Legislative Assembly of a state where references in relation to a Union Territory having a Legislative Assembly to the Legislative Assembly. Provided that the President may by public notification direct the provision of this part shall apply to any Union Territory or part thereof subject to such exceptions and modifications as he may specify in the notifications. Article 243M, part not to apply to certain areas. Nothing in this part shall apply to the scheduled areas referred to in clause 1 and the tribal areas referred to in clause 2 of Article 244. आर्टिकल 244 आने में तो अभी जमाना है, अभी देखा पूरी एबीसीडी जानी पड़ेगी. Clause 2. Nothing in this part shall apply to A. The states of Nagaland, Meghalaya and Mizoram. B. The hilly areas of state of Manipur for which district council exists under any law for the time being in force. Okay. I think that's why मणिपुर पहले से ही ऐसा रहा है और बीजेपी ने आग में तेल बतने का काम किया. तेल है घी, हमारे यहाँ तेल बोलते हैं उसको, घी नहीं बोलते हैं. Ooh. 3. Nothing in this part relating to panchayat at the district level shall apply to the hill areas of the district of Darjeeling in the state of West Bengal for which Darjeeling Gorkha Hill Council exists under any law for the time being in force. B. Shall be construed to effect the functions and powers of the Darjeeling Gorkha Hill Council constituted under such law. 3A. Nothing in Article 243D relating to reservation of seats for the scheduled caste shall apply to the state of Arunachal Pradesh. अरुणाचल प्रदेश में रिजर्वेशन नहीं है क्या भाई? क्या बोलते हो? क्या अरुणाचल प्रदेश एक ऐसा इंडियन स्टेट है जहाँ पर जातियाँ एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती? क्या बोल रहे हो? आओ जरा देखते क्या है डी में, मैं तो भूल गया। आ तो अरुणाचल प्रदेश में वो अप्लाई नहीं करने वाला। 4. Notwithstanding anything in this constitution, A. The legislature of the state referred to in subclause A of clause 2 may by law extend this part to that state except the areas if any referred to in clause 1. If the legislature assembly of that state passes a resolution to that effect by a majority of total membership of that house and by majority of not less than 2/3 of members of that house present and voting. B. Parliament by law extend the provision of this part to the scheduled areas and the tribal areas referred to in clause 1. Subject to such exceptions and modification as may be specified in such law, and no such law shall be deemed to be amendment of this constitution for the purposes of Article 316. मेरा दिमाग फ्राई हो चुका है। आई एम एंडिंग दिस ईयर। और जा सकता था लेकिन कोई ये नहीं है भाई, जल्दी नहीं है, आराम से पढ़ेंगे। वैसे भी मैं पहले क्या पढ़ रहा हूँ भूल ही जा रहा हूँ, तो वापस जाके देखता हूँ फिर से करते हैं। चलो भाई, बाय बाय, टाटा।